I, Dr. Sunaina Malik, and my co-instructors welcome you to this very useful course on communication skills. As you all know, in today's times, all of us need to learn how to communicate. And believe me, it's an art. It's not something that you're born with. If you're lucky, you're born with it. If not, then you have to learn it. So here we are to help you learn a little bit on how to go about it. My talk is on how to be an effective speaker. In this course, we have divided it into 4 parts. First is how to be an effective speaker. Second will come how to make a good PowerPoint presentation. Then third will be how to make a good video presentation. And fourth and last is going to be on how to prepare a good paper for research and to publish it, which no one can tell you better than our own Dr. Barun Naik. So here we go. Obviously, no financial disclosure. Who's going to finance me for this? Now, when it comes to speaking on a public platform, you have to prepare. And preparing means you have to study for your presentation. You cannot just go unprepared on the dais and speak. You have to sift through the data which is available, which is easy nowadays because of the internet. You have lots of sources. Make notes and then prepare your PowerPoint or keynote presentation, depending on which laptop you've got. Always time yourself. You must not overshoot time because, especially if you're speaking in a free paper session, the timing is very important. Marks are given for that, and marks are also cut for that. So remember that. Always, always carry an extra copy of your presentation. This is important because if you lose one, then you're lost, then you're gone. So what will you do? Attire. This is very, very important. That's what I feel, and I think it matters. Because how you dress does matter. No matter how much you may deride it, that no, it's okay, it makes no difference, whatever I wear, but it does. See, when you're speaking on a public platform, you cannot wear bathroom chappals and go and speak because people are looking at you, they're observing you from top to toe, and they see what you're wearing, how you're wearing it, and whether it suits the occasion or not. So what you wear depends on the place, the audience, and the theme of your talk. If you have the slightest doubt, you should ask for advice from your senior or some colleague who has already spoken a couple of times. Now here I'm showing you 2 pictures of a lady and a guy. The guy is dressed in a suit, obviously, and the lady is wearing a blazer. But if you're not comfortable with a blazer for ladies, it doesn't matter. You can look equally elegant in a sari or any other ethnic wear which suits the occasion. Like right now, I'm in a kurti and pants, so that's okay. It doesn't have to be a business suit, always. A sari will look equally good. Now, preparing to speak. If you're a newcomer, a first-timer, rehearse again and again. It helps because then you don't feel uncomfortable in front of your audience. Always begin by addressing the audience and the dais. Adjust the microphone to your own height. That was the first thing I did when I came to the podium. If you're not comfortable behind the podium, you want to walk about and directly address your audience, be visible to them, ask for a collar mic. And also ask for a pointer if there are certain things which you want to point out in your presentation. And you should not hesitate in doing all this because this is what makes a speaker good. What is the correct distance from a mic? That comes from experience. Some people tend to go too close, some are too far. But once you start speaking, you come to know what is your optimum distance from the mic, and you should stick to that. Speaking etiquettes. You must stand straight, first of all. Please do not slouch. It's so bad. Face the audience. Maintain eye contact with your audience because they are the ones who are listening to you. They are ones who are taking home the message that you're trying to give. Use gestures, but not too many. And in between your talk, you can have short, pertinent anecdotes. And feel free to sip water during your talk, nobody's stopping you from doing that. If your mouth is dry, you won't be able to speak further. There are certain strict don'ts which you don't have to do at all. And I specifically put this slide in because I've seen this happening a couple of times and I always give that example. Please, no combing your hair on the stage. I've seen a very, very eminent person. I'm not going to name him because he's so well known that it would be bad manners on my part to take his name. I've seen such a person who's a speaker called everywhere come on stage on a Women's Day program. He had long hair. So he was combing his hair on the stage as he came. I felt it was terrible. I mean, it shows such disrespect for your audience. If you wanted to comb your hair, you should have gone to the washroom before coming on stage, done that, and then come. Why do it in front of your audience? Also, please do not put your hands in your pockets. It shows bad manners and disrespect for your audience. No long-winded stories. Nobody's interested in listening to that. And no nasty or personal attacks on anyone. All these things show a lack of courtesy for your audience, which you must never do. Now, this is what it's all about, you know. If you want to become an effective speaker, you have to be passionate about your subject and all these other things which are described here. I found this slide so good. It describes just about everything that you need to be an effective speaker. You must have empathy for your audience and for your talk. You must be sincere and you should be people-centered. You should have the knack of storytelling. You should be persuasive and so on. In conclusion, before you conclude, always acknowledge the contributors to your talk. This makes a difference, especially if you have borrowed something from someone else. You require permission from that person for one thing. That is extremely important. You cannot just take somebody's video or somebody's talk and put it in without permission from that person and acknowledge that person in your talk. Conclude by thanking the audience for a patient hearing and always try to make your last slide pertinent. For example, if an occasion is coming up, like Ganpati, Dasera, Diwali, Holi, put in that slide. In conclusion, I would like to thank my father, my teachers in school, college, and all my students, some of whom are sitting right here, because of whom I'm able to talk to you on this subject. They are the ones who have made me what I am today and have made me be able to speak on this topic. Thank you so much and a very happy Holi to all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Archana Vare, and I would be speaking on how to prepare an excellent PowerPoint presentation. So there are 300 million PowerPoint users in the world, and they do 30 million presentations each day. And about 1 million presentations are going on right now. But 50% of them are unbearable, and since the brain does not pay attention to boring things, we end up having audience like this. So why the audience is bored? This is because they do not understand the message and they feel that their time is getting wasted. So why does this happen? This happens mainly due to lack of significance, structure, simplicity, and rehearsal. So let us see how to avoid this and let us make the world a better place. So why do you basically present? Is this just to pass the information, or just because your boss has asked you to do so, or you want to create some meaning? So what is the significance and the purpose of your presentation? So know your purpose, and your presentation should have a clear purpose and a good flow. What is the subject and why it matters to you? So gather all the information about your topic and try to make a good content. Even before you start preparing for your presentation, think about what is the topic of your presentation, whether the topic has been allotted to you or you are you can select the topic for your presentation. Then how much is the time limit? How much time is allotted to you? And who's going to listen to your presentation? So the audience is the most important part of your presentation. So always ask yourself, what does my audience need to hear from me? Try to understand the requirements of your audience and then start making your presentation. Then, based on these considerations, sketch a basic outline of your presentation. Think how is it going to look like, what are the main headers of your presentation, how the information will flow from one slide to another, what are the important key points, and finally, what is the message that your audience should take home. So what should be the structure of your presentation? Structure is how you place the building blocks of your story. So make your presentation simple and interesting by following simple PowerPoint basics. So these PowerPoint basics are slide design, font, color, layout, and style. So let us discuss something about the slide design. So now which design to use? This is the most important question. Now which design to use? So which template to use? So you can use the template that the PowerPoint provides. So these are the ready-made templates which come along with the PowerPoint, or you should make your own design. So create your own design. Your audience deserves something special. If you must use the default PowerPoint themes, then you can use them as a starting point, and then you can customize by adjusting the colors, the fonts, and the backgrounds. So try different combinations. Let your creativity flow. So after selecting the slide, let us discuss something about the font. So which font you should use? So always use good fonts. Now these are the examples of the left-sided image shows a serif font and the right-sided image shows a sans serif font. Now what is a serif font? Those structures which are marked with the red circle. So serifs are the semi-structural details or small decorative flourishes which are present on the ends of some of the strokes that make up the symbols or the letters. An example would be a Times New Roman font. So sans serif font does not have these details or the flourishes. An example would be an Arial font. So it is said that the serif fonts are usually easier to read in large text areas like in books. But if you want to make a digital presentation, then you should use a sans serif font. So serif fonts take longer to read because of the structural details, and the example would be Times New Roman or the Courier or the Didot font. And the sans serif font is easier to read. Example would be Arial or the Comic Sans or the Trebuchet. This is an example of a sans serif font, Comic Sans. Then again, this is an example of a serif font. This is again a serif font. Some fonts, they look super in boldface. For example, Arial versus Arial bold, Comic Sans versus Comic Sans bold, Trebuchet versus Trebuchet bold. Now, after deciding the font, what should be the size of the font? So the type size should be 18 points or larger. Use different size fonts for main points, and the secondary points can be in smaller fonts. Avoid using all capital letters because it is really hard to read. So after deciding the font, let us discuss about the color. So colors are nice, so play with colors. Find your like. Flat colors are beautiful and contrast is your friend. So you should use the color palette. A color palette is basically a combination of colors that go very well with each other and also make your presentations look really beautiful. So if you're going to use an inbuilt template of PowerPoint, then the color palette usually comes along with it. But if you are preparing a template from scratch, then you should look for a color palette. Always think which color combination suits your presentation the most. And you can also generate the color palettes for free in minutes from the commercially available sites. Okay? Then when you choose a color palette, it gives a theme to your presentation and it brings the whole presentation together. Then after choosing the color, let us discuss something about the background. So which background you should use? So dark letters against a light background, they work. The dark letters against a light background, they are best for smaller rooms and for teaching. But the light letters against a dark backgrounds, they also work. So many experts feel that a dark blue or black background works best for talks in a large room. But then avoid backgrounds like these because they are distracting and they're difficult to read from. Always be consistent with the background that you use. As you must have noticed that today for my presentation I have used the different backgrounds. But this is because I'm trying to get across the concepts of PowerPoint basics, and I cannot do so without using the different backgrounds. But when you are presenting something scientific, then make sure that you keep the background judiciously consistent. Avoid red-green combinations because a large fraction of the human population is red-green colorblind. Then other color combinations like these can be equally bad. So view your slides in grayscale to ensure that there is adequate color contrast in each slide. After deciding the color, let us discuss something about the layout. So the layout should be simple. Every slide should have a heading. Title in a few words explains what your slide is all about. These titles, they capture the attention of your audience and make them listen to your presentation, and also they remember your talks even after you finish presenting. So every slide should have a heading. Sentences are preferred if it is possible to make a statement. When too much text is evil, so avoid too much text. So limit text blocks to no more than 2 lines each. Now, do you recognize this slide? Slides with multiple paragraphs of text have shown to significantly decrease the attention of the audience and thus the effectiveness of getting your message across. Since we cannot read and listen at the same time, this basically tells the audience to read directly off the slides and they stop listening to you. So let your slides breathe. It lets your audience listen to you. So do not use this slide as a manuscript because this is visually engaging. So break up your bullet points into separate slides. Prepare lists, and the list should not contain more than 3 items. It is often effective to unveil your list one by one. Like you talk about item 1, and after you've finished everything about the item 1, then you unveil item 2 and then unveil item 3. Avoid sublists like these. Be generous with empty space. Limit the number of items on each slide. Each slide should just make 1 or 2 points. Now look at this slide. I mean, there is so much information just put together on one slide. So if you try to cram too much into a slide and place things too close to the sides, then they can get cut off if you're using a poor projector. In any case, this slide looks all cluttered and junky. Then look at this slide. So many graphs, so many pictures together. So you cannot explain all the graphs, and there's a simple rule for showing figures and images. If you're not going to take the time to explain it, then just get rid of it. So after the layout, let us discuss something about the style. Avoid fancy transitions between slides unless they have a good reason. For example, when the text appears like this, then we don't want the audience to watch the animation, okay? So use the appear effect and not the fancy effects. But now look at this animation, how effectively it educates us about the inflow and outflow of the aqueous humor in a self-explanatory way. So animations like these, they can be used. Now for example, here we show the bearing of the circumlinear vessel. So this is again an example of a self-explanatory animation. Then this is an example of bayoneting. So these are very educative and they are very self-explanatory. So animations like these, they should be used in your presentation. But don't try to show too many slides. Often less is more. So try your best to include a simple image on every slide. Because images, they say more than 1,000 words. Images tend to catch people's attention and make the message more powerful. Now always use good quality images and avoid using images which have watermark on them. So now there are some sites from where you can get the free images like the Pixabay, and they give free high quality images. Then there are other sites like Unsplash or Pixels. They also give you the images. Then if you are obtaining these pictures from published sources, then they are not your pictures, then always make sure that you credit these pictures and mention the sources from where you have obtained them. This will improve the credibility of your work. Then how you should present the information. So the answer is infographics. Infographics are great. So you should always use the various types of graphs because they make your presentation more interesting. So you can use the various graphs as pie charts or the other graphs. Now suppose you have to present this information like ocular injuries from June 2018 to September 2018. So how you should present this information? So the answer is graphs. So this is an example of a good graph and this is an example of a bad graph. Now why this is a good graph? Because it has a title and the color contrast is also good. And now look at this graph. So there are minor grid lines which are not necessary. The font is too small. Then the colors are illogical. The title is missing. The contrast is not good. The shading is distracting. So avoid making graphs like these and make simple graphs like these. So this is an example of a simple infographic and this is an awful 3D pie chart. But the infographics like these, they are very educative for the patients also. So proof your slides for spelling mistakes and grammatical errors. If English is not your first language, then please have someone and check your presentation. So rehearsal is the key. So once your slides are ready, make sure to practice them, stand in front of the mirror and concentrate on your posture too. And as Malik ma'am has already talked about the attire, I won't go in details about it. So preparation is the key. Know your material well, practice it, and respect your time limits. Many times it is seen that after going on stage, many people turn their back to the audience and read every word on their presentation. So avoid this. Because when you turn your back to the audience, you lose eye contact with your audience and the presentation starts becoming boring. So if you don't maintain an eye contact with your audience, after some time the audience will lose interest in your presentation. So go for a delivery style which is more engaging. Try to bind your entire audience just by making an eye contact. So keep a straight posture. And there are something beyond PowerPoint, and there are some available apps like Canva or Prezia or Powtoon, so you can use them also. So to conclude, use an effective and strong closing. Your audience is likely to remember your last words. So use a conclusion slide to summarize the main points of your presentation and suggest future avenues of your research. So it is very easy to use the PowerPoint badly, but it takes some work and forethought to use the PowerPoint well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Archana, for a wonderful presentation. I think she's thoroughly researched how to make a PowerPoint presentation. I'd just like to add two more points. If you have a logo of the hospital you work in or your personal clinic, please add it to each slide. You must have noticed on my slide, there's a logo of my clinic. Also, in your first slide, give your own personal details like your email ID and your phone number. Some people in the audience might like to contact you later or email you, so that information should be there. I've learned this from listening to and looking at other people's slides. Thank you so much. Now I present to you Dr. Shubha Jawar. She's also professor at Government Medical College, Aurangabad, and another one of my students. And I'm very proud of both of these students of mine. She is going to talk to us on how to make a good video presentation. Thank you. Go ahead.
At the outset, I thank the organizing committee for giving me this opportunity to present my talk on how to prepare an excellent video presentation. So video presentation, as you know, is a presentation that can be shared and viewed as a video. And of course, it is more engaging. It will capture your audience attention till the very end. And like you all know, like what we keep on doing on social medias, Instagram and TikTok reels. They are so engaging that we keep on scrolling and waste a lot of time in that. So that is what video presentations are. And it is, of course, a visual learning that is enabled with this. It gives an enhanced interaction. And of course, there is an easy accessibility. So distance learning can be done with this. And of course, it's a self-study matter. That is what we have learned during our COVID times. And it gives a high flexibility to the students and teachers as it is highly customizable. And of course, it can be shared on YouTube, Vimeo, etc., various social media platforms, and can be shared widely without the need of being there in person. That's very important and very good reason why you should make very good video presentation. Of course, it is affordable, and it will be more valuable if you add good quality audio or a narrator voiceover added to it. And of course, live presentations are impressive if you add a video slideshow to it. So video presentations with audio are great for explainer videos, like we all keep on watching on YouTube, surgical videos, e-learning courses, for explanations, for medical reports and informational reports, annual reports, for advertising they are used every day, and for sales pitches. So now let's go on to how a good video presentation should be made. So the tips. So think of your presentation as a video right from the beginning when you are going to form a video presentation. Take time to create an outline or a storyboard of your slides. Make sure the information it flows from one slide to another. Preview your presentation as you put it together, making sure it flows well. Add animations and motion graphics, because that is an advantage that you can do in video presentations only if they bring visual value. That's important. Stay balanced with animations and transitions throughout the scenes, and tell a story to improve content retention. I believe you should know very well how you should record the video presentations, either with a DSLR camera or a camcorder, or even mobile phones give very good videos recording these days. iPhones are the best for this. Keeping in mind all the settings with the speed, the audio, the gesture control you can use, and flash, and keeping in mind the background. So this must be an MP4 or a movie file type. So let us go on to the steps. Step 1 is plan and strategize. So the why, you should know the purpose, the goal and plan of the video presentation. So questions to ask are, why do you need it at all? So you should be clear in your mind where you're going to present this and who is going to be the audience, and what do you plan to convey, what story are you telling, what do you want to convince, who do you want to convince, and of what. So the idea should be clear in your mind. How would you like the audience to feel when seeing it? That's important. Will it be private or will it be public on a public platform or a social media platform? How can you sound like an expert? Now, because you're presenting a video presentation, you need to sound like an expert. So study well and form your video. Do you need a voiceover or a music track? Now that is interesting and makes the video more appealable. And will you need to write a video script? Because just going on talking with the video, like how when it is presented, of course it won't be that effective, and important would be that you write down the script and read it with that to make it easier and to make it proper. Then the next step would be organize your content. So once you have got the video and you know what to do and you know where to present, now start by organizing all your content into a folder. So make a folder, include all the graphics, the photos, video clips, audio bites, and any brand assets, as just now ma'am said. So create a document with all the written consent and make notes on what the audio will be. Okay. Now for a voiceover, you draft a script. For music, you choose the perfect track. Draft a simple outline or a storyboard. General outline is, like all you know, title, subtitle, content, summary or review, conclusion, and closing. So if no defined sections are there, then choose a good flow from one slide to another. For example, you can go for a chronological order, or a problem and solution, a before and after, or a journey progression. Then choose a template. Now ready-made templates are available, very much available, make it easier for us. So presentation themes with various slides and layouts to mix and match, you can do that. A fully pre-designed presentation templates which you get in plenty for remixing in Reels, and all the younger population I know sure is doing this every day. Animated video templates are available. A previously created An imported PPT you can do, an existing slideshow without animation, video or audio, and you can use it for your presentation. Use your outline or storyboard to set up your slide order in the editor. So you can set up the slide order. So this I would like to play for you. It's not playing. Can you help me? There's no sound.
तुम्हारा वक्त है जिसे भी दे रहे हो
Just a minute. Yeah, so please watch.
तुम्हारी सबसे बड़ी दौलत ना तुम्हारा वक्त है जिसे भी दे रहे हो बहुत सोच के देना लौटता नहीं है
So this was a video, ready-made video template that I had used for this, and in a fun way, but I am putting the idea across. So, so that is what I wanted to show in this, that a ready-made template I have used, and I have added some photographs to it. So there's an order to that, and the voiceover also is there. So now going to the next step is step 4, input your content into the slides. Now keep the text to the minimum, use more visuals because this is a video presentation. If you use a voiceover, you'll need only the titles and section titles here. Use complementary visuals like images and backgrounds. Add some frames or crop and use near some colored shapes and sections that you can use to your advantage. Backgrounds can be made full colors or gradient to animated and video. Try photographs with filters, and you can add short videos inside your video presentation. So even that you can do. Now add animations and transitions. You should be careful with animations and transitions. Make it impactful and fun to watch. You can use assets like animated icons, shapes, various illustrations, characters to your benefit. Then you can add special effects like animated gestures, animated charts, and data widgets. Review all the transitions between slides. Options to repetition, speed, and toggle, you must use those. Preview and adjust the length of it so that it looks proper and flows easily. You can trim, loop, or autoplay the audios or set them as background. Now animations can be added to everything, but you should avoid distraction. Too many animations, they cause distraction. Transitions can be added slide by slide or to the entire presentation. It should be done according to the presentation, what you want to present. Transitions can be set in different styles. They can come slide from the side or from the top, or they can fade, or they can zoom. And use the same style of transition throughout. So you can be creative with this. Now adding audio to your presentation. So there are various options available. Either you can add the audio to the background, or add audio to each slide, or tweak the audio inside video clips. Adding a voiceover or narration can be done. So add the MP3 file, trim if it is required, adjust the start time, volume, and choose if it will loop, fade in or out. Voiceover can be added as a track in the background, and an imported clip can be used to each slide. Now choose play lengths along with transitions so that everything flows well and it looks nice. And you should be careful about the audio being used because there might be licensing issues. That's important because you must be seeing that adding an audio music track to a reel, when you play on the Facebook, it doesn't apply because it works only in that social media. So like that. Then there are places where you can add the cameo. Cameo is where your own video, while presenting your own photograph and the video will play, and this can work very well in remote presentations in a conference. So when I organized a midterm conference of OPI at Aurangabad, we invited an international speaker who gave her presentation with a cameo. So it was like she was presenting there itself. Then review and edit. So use the present button and review your whole entire video presentation from the start to finish. Take notes if you notice that you need to fix or edit, and then do likewise, and check for grammatical mistakes, font and text, very important. Download and share. So your video presentation is finally made. Now click on download and select MP4. Now you can upload your video to YouTube, Facebook, or any of your favorite social media platform. So once it is done, download and review it, and then only upload. So this is another video that I have shared. So you can see a subtitle made there. So once you play, so this is, so this doesn't have an audio. The cameo is missing here because this web camera is not working of this laptop. Otherwise, you can see my face talking over there. And there is a subtitle given that a fresh AMT is being used with furnace forming sutures for this symblepharon case. So either you can present like talk, or you can just add subtitles, or add a track to it, or add voiceover. So another thing about editing, now you can see various apps are available. So on that I have gone and edited this video, the last video, and in the first picture you can see here is my arrow visible. So there are various options over here. So you can select the part of the video and then cut. So there are various options available there. You can just select that much part, delete it, and then you can go and apply a speed to it, or then you can rotate it, you can flip it, you can crop it, and apply either freeze, or you can even magnify it, apply mosaic to it, zoom it. And so all these things are available. In the last photograph, you can see that you can tap to add music over here. So add music, you can add subtitle, or you can add sticker. So all this is available in the app there, and you can use it. So ultimate goal for your video presentation with audio is to leave a powerful, lasting impact on your audience. So these are various apps available, various apps that can help you do all this and upload this. So nowadays, OpenAI model Sora is there, which creates videos on text prompts, right? So just if you write down that I want like a video of a presenter or an ophthalmologist presenting a lecture, so it will create that video for you. So this has come new, just like ChatGPT. And of course, take help. Take help from tech-savvy juniors, your assistants, or whoever is going to help you. So nerds, always around you. This is another video that I wanted to
An artist.
help you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are you good at it?
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Shubha. That was a wonderful presentation on how to make a good video. I learned a lot from it. And now I present to you the stalwart we have in our midst, and who has always very kindly agreed to do a course with me, none other than past president of AIOS, Dr. Barun Naik, who's a doyen in research methodology. And that's why we chose him for this particular talk on how to make a good paper and be able to publish it. Because I think at the end of the day, that is the goal of all of us. All ophthalmologists want to prepare a paper and present, not only in conferences, but also be able to publish it in journals, maybe Indian journal or international journals. So this talk is going to be very useful. Please do listen to it carefully. Thank you. All- Okay. Do you have it? Yes. If anybody wants to ask some questions or clarify some points, we can do that. Ajay, he hasn't transferred it here.
I was just wondering that always I carry what, as she suggests. In her talk, she said, no, you carry a backup copy. I always carry 2 pen drive. But yesterday I confirmed at night also. Morning I loaded, in night I checked up. Then today before coming, I said, मैं तो check किया हुआ, अब छोड़ दो. तो आज मैंने carry नहीं किया. And this is what it happened for when you don't carry, you land up in this. Yeah, okay. So how to research and prepare a good paper for publication, all cannot be discussed in 15 minutes. Simply briefly I will say research and publication are linked together. They are interlinked, and publication is the culmination of research. It helps in furthering the science. You will also feel satisfied as you are one of the parties in this process of progress. But remember, research is not simple, should not be taken lightly. Discipline and honesty is expected. Both are very important, and research is a way of life. Unfortunately, in our formative days, it is not taught. Therefore, these kind of courses are important, and you must learn if you want to publish, because without research, you cannot publish. But remember, the research is not restricted to big institutes or labs only. Possible to perform quality research even in a small remote private setup as well. Like law of gravity by Newton was not developed in any research lab. Development of laws of inheritance by Mendel, smallpox vaccination by Jenner and Archimedes' principle, all just by chance, by observing something, all these things were put together, and it's so important. So what it needs: ability to observe and interpret, courage to question existing dogmas, desire to follow up the idea, and well-planned and executed inquiry into that query. Because anyone who just comes here and talks on the big podium in Hall A, don't take it as gospel truth. You have to just believe first in yourself that whatever is talking is correct, then only you should take it. So what it requires: unique idea should withstand the your reasoning. Then plan a suitable study, think whether you have the proper subjects or not, then proceed for that. So I'll just end that part over there, so that you have to attend some courses for the entire research methodology workshops. Now for publication, once you have a research, it should be published, because without publication, science will be dead. And what the editor, the important editor, what he says, clearly written papers have a better chance of acceptance. So it's very simple message that the paper that you are submitting should be very clearly written. There should be no ambiguity. Edit it carefully. And he says that why the papers are rejected, the main reasons are unprofessional presentation, improper organization, numerous grammatical and spelling mistakes, not formatting the paper properly, and omitting citations. Now also, any research, any publication, it deals with a basic question. So your research question or the thesis statement has to be clearly mentioned, and there is a place for this. So put it very clearly. And where is the place? Usually it is at the end of the discussion, end of the in the beginning that you write introduction. So the last paragraph, last sentence, usually it reads like the aim of the study was, and it is always in past tense, or the research was done for this was the research question. So like that. Now this research questions also has to be really refined. It should contain, usually for a good research question and for trial, the 5 elements should be there, which goes by the mnemonic PICOT. P for population, intervention, the comparison, outcome, and time. Now just I'll give you one example. The aim of the study was to evaluate and compare the endothelial cell loss in phacoemulsification with ACM without OVDs as compared to that in phacoemulsification with OVD alone in immediate post-operative period in patients with senile cataract. All 5 elements are there. Patients, that is the population. Then phacoemulsification with ACM without OVD, that is your intervention. Comparison, phacoemulsification with OVDs alone. And then what is the outcome measures? That was endothelial cell loss. And finally, the time frame in immediate post-operative period. So at least this kind of thing should be there. Even this is a big introduction and aim of the study. But here also, if you see all 5 elements in the eyes having phacoemulsification with ringer lactate, and comparison with BSS plus, time frame, again the outcome, the endothelial cell loss, and finally the time frame, it's a 6 months period. So that means it's all this you should, if you include, that is considered as you have really thought of in the study planning itself. Now writing, usually it is known as IMRAD format, standard format, introduction, method, result and discussion. Apart from this, the title, abstract and keywords and references. Now title will be read by all because anyone who is searching is interested in a particular topic, he will search that particular keyword or whatever the paper is all about through title. So you should be clever enough that it should be attractive, meaningful and convey the gist and include the keywords so that it can be picked up. You want that your paper should be picked up for anyone by anyone who wants to, who is interested in your subject. Then after that, abstract will be read by majority, should be complete because this also has got the same format, should convey the most important, interesting and most important part of the work because there is a limit, word limit, so you cannot write at your will whatever you want. The same format as text, structured and unstructured, depends on the requirement of the journal, and Medline accepts only 250 words because more than that if you write, it will just discard the last one, so maybe the most interesting part. Now introduction, what is your question? Means the review. And why do we, so basically this creates a background that what do we know already, then what knowledge is lacking, this is what you are claiming after the doing research, the literature search. And finally your agenda, aim of the study, how do you intend to bridge this gap in this knowledge? So it has to be short, what we know, what we don't know, controversy, what is a controversy, what is a lacunae and why, that's why we did this study, and finally the aim of the study or research question. But it should not be too lengthy. The textbook knowledge should not be there. Sometimes I suppose glaucoma, the glaucoma is defined as chronic, optic, progressive. Like who is going to, this article is not to tell you about, to tell the readers about the definition of glaucoma. So so those things should be discarded. Review all literature, whatever is relevant only you should be there. End with quick summary of own results. Summary or the result you should not put up in the introduction and should evolve only around your research question. Then is the M, method. How did you address your question? Provide all information needed for someone else to repeat everything you have done. So it should be so complete that, but it cannot be too extensive. So it should be so complete that anyone who reads this wants to do the same study should be able to perform it. Then in that material, what was done, design, who, the study population, when, the time frame, where, whether hospital-based, community-based or whatever, and detailed procedure. So it should be described in detail. Then inadvertent omissions should be also taken care of, ethical approval, sample size calculation, randomization method and blinding. How did you do that? So those things should be written. It has to be written clearly. You cannot leave it to the imagination because you may think whatever you have done is correct, right way, but it may not be correct. So you should mention whatever you have done. Then questionnaires, interventions, clinical assessments and statistical methods also should be written in those that material and method section. Then IMRAD R, results. So what was the answer? So give the facts. Here you cannot draw any conclusion, just whatever you have got it, simply summarize, explain and visualize these results for your reader. So that way, that's why you should have to make it complete. That, but it doesn't mean that you have got liberty to put up everything over there. And also remember that certain facts can be written in text, certain in tables and certain in figures. So it means if you are writing in text, there is no need to repeat it in tables or figures or graph. Usually in thesis, because there you have to fill in so many pages, that's why the students, they just put up graph, put up table, put up pie chart, but that is not, in paper, it's straight away it is discarded. Avoid duplication and tell the story without diversion and do not draw conclusion in the result section. Now then comes the discussion part, which is the most difficult section to write. So summary of what was found, so begin with that. So means the aim of the study was this and we found this. So just summarize in 1 or 2 sentences. then why it is important, it should address the aim stated in the introduction. So your aim is something different and you are putting something different, that is not the right way of writing. It means probably you are not serious about it. So usually our results indicate that, or the results from this study showed that, or purpose of this study was this and we found this. So that way you are just making a brief summary and then you start discussing. Subsequent paragraph should discuss how it supports or refutes the current knowledge, give probable explanation if it refutes, with the background, either your own whatever proper explanation or some backup references, through references. Usually we always say that the various paragraph, if someone is writing properly, the first sentence of each paragraph in discussion should be topic sentence, means the main theme what he wants to discuss in that paragraph, and then the whole paragraph will be discussing about that sentence. Similarly, the second fact in the second paragraph. So if I want to read it quickly, really I will go through the discussion, the first beginning, then first sentence of each paragraph, that will tell me that, okay, what is basically, means what is the flow and what does he want to convey. And penultimate paragraph discuss the strength and weaknesses of the present study. Final paragraph, conclusion, future direction, impact on current understanding. The conclusion should not be generalized. Whatever you have got, just put up that one, you don't generalize it, should not be unjustified conclusion. Now discussion should not end with, we are now investigating further. Because if some paper who has got plenty of articles, straight away this sentence will get rejected. Further studies are needed. It means then your study yourself are telling is not good. Reference should be accurate, include most important, relevant and recent reference, include only published articles or books. Now, when you are writing, just when you are doing research, that time only you start, because so many things will come to your mind. But when you are at the end, when you have sat down to write that paper, you may forget some of them. So just start making some small chits and then put it in a folder of various sectors. Oh, this will come in introduction, this will come in my discussion part. So those things put it, and then at the end, when you have written the paper, then take out that folder and then each chit you will see whether you have whether it's good or not. Means should it be included? If not, yes, include. If included, very good. Then again next paper. So that way you will not miss out anything. Write clearly, use simple language, one message per sentence. Use active form, that I measured, not the passive like temperature was measured, and avoid jargons. Use small single words instead of multiple if you can, because that the beauty of style and harmony and grace and good rhythm depend on simplicity. Plato has told this. Now this language you must improve, means you should write the correct language. This is a good, so someone wanted to write, the couple are warm, good people with a big heart. Wanted recommendation letter for adoption. So then thought, let me use thesaurus, and how then can I improve this? But otherwise this is a good recommendation. So when he thought that, okay, let me use various words through thesaurus, then it came out the humans are pre-cooked, precious Homo sapien with a full-size aortic pump. So don't make it, overdo it. And note down the points, and then in emirate form, as I told you, and make one draft, two draft, three draft, and final draft, and also give it someone else to read, so that they will give you some suggestion. And you also write it, then leave it in the background for 1 month, then again read. Probably you yourself also will pick up many mistakes in that. So, and use the most easily understood words. So like this one, this is last few slides. There is something which is, to put it bluntly, the medical profession and its suzerain health system can no longer plan and operate as an amorphous farrago of services in splendid isolation from society's imprimatur. Now, because of the 4 colored letter which I have marked, it's difficult to understand. And the dictionary meanings are this, of those words. And so now you convert the bottom one with those meanings. To put it bluntly, the medical profession and its feudal health system can no longer plan and operate as an ill-organized hodgepodge of services in splendid isolation from society's approval. So the bottom one is scientific writing, the top one is literary writing, which is not for us. And finally, avoid plagiarism. So if anyone else's something is being quoted, you have to give reference and don't copy it entirely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barun. And the first one was Shashi Tharoor, I think. The first one which he wrote was Shashi Tharoor, and then the next one was what we would write generally. I would also like to add one small point which he mentioned. Make sure there are no grammatical or spelling mistakes. They will harm your the chances of your paper being published because editors note that. If I'm an editor, I'm going to check whether this person has made spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes because they are important. So, thank you all for being a very good
No,
audience.
if any question. No,
Are
because
there
that,
any questions?
because that simply conveys, because what I understand as editor, the person is not serious in
Yes,
writing. And if
exactly.
he is not serious in writing, then probably is not serious in doing research also.
Yes,
So
correct.
that gives you bad impression. So everything affects, ultimately the final acceptance is based on all impression, not only whatever you have written.
Yeah.
And Purvi is sitting here, she must be agreeing entirely with this because she is doing a hard work.
No, and also I'll tell you that very often first impressions are the last impressions. So if in your first paragraph itself the editor is put off by a grammatical mistake or a spelling mistake, then you know the idea gets implanted in his head ki oh, this is a frivolous study, and as Barun mentioned, the person who has done this study is not serious about it. So make sure that you make a impactful introduction and make sure that everything is perfect. And another thing, don't be afraid of rejection. Your paper may get rejected multiple times, but keep at it. One day you are going to succeed. If not today, if you have a editor journal like Barun, it's very difficult to get a paper published, let me tell you. He is very, very strict with what he puts. He was very, very strict with what he put into IGO. I know that for a fact. But then you need editors like this because what you want is for the content of the journal to go up, not down. And what the journal contains depends on the articles that it has. So obviously, the editor needs good articles from good researchers. So you want to be a good researcher first, then become a good paper publisher.
So just to emphasize whatever she said just now, that there is a one saying which is said, all articles are publishable somewhere.
Yes.
So may not be your journal, but somewhere. So you have to find out where. So maybe after 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections, you will find the fifth one. So that is number one. Number two, I know now the younger generation will not realize the importance of fundus fluorescein angiography. But fundus fluorescein angiography, say till 10 years back, it was the second most ophthalmic procedure done in the world after cataract surgery. So it was so important. Only after OCT its importance has gone down. Now it's hardly ever done. Probably some of the newer generation would not have even seen fluorescein angiography being done. So now the first article of fluorescein angiography was published by Novotny and Elvis. They were internists. And when they sent this paper to one of the ophthalmic journal, it was rejected. Then it was published later on in a journal called Circulation. And then you can imagine that this article became the landmark research in that investigation. And later on, everywhere that publication was being referred to and reference was given whenever any article on fluorescein angiography was published. And so that is the means. So it means you can imagine even that some ophthalmic journal rejected this, and that was so important research which was there. And later on, they never published any other article on. So that is also a fact that Novotny and Elvis.
I'll also add another small thing. We still have about
Yeah, we
7
have
minutes.
time.
We have
Any
time.
question is
so
there, we are ready to
if
answer.
there is any question, we can answer that. Or else, I can just tell you, these days, I get a lot of mails, that publish your paper. They want you to publish. They're asking for your papers, like Journal of South Africa or Journal of Turkey or something like that, which we had never heard of before. For us, the standard was either American journal or our own Indian journal of ophthalmology. But nowadays, I think, I don't know if Barun will agree
No,
with
I
me.
think Purvi has written editorial also on predatory journal. So just tell the audience about
Please
the
do, Purvi.
predatory journals, because every day you must be receiving mails.
So that is something which is it's a lurking enemy for in the world of publication and research. So all of us who have any time published anywhere, even a small commentary or a small case report or a letter to editor, they keep fishing for such articles and they will start pouring in mails. We read your research and it has been very good and we invite you to submit to our journal. Now, how do we identify these predatory journals? So one is never use the links they send in your mails. Always copy paste their topics, their editorial board details and other things in your browser and search it the reverse way, and you will find that it is erroneous and it's the incorrect one, because if you go to their links, they are all false websites. If you go through the websites themselves, you will find that there are grammatical errors. They are not very, if you cross relate to the editorial board, they are not genuine. And if you get in touch with the editorial board members themselves, they would not be knowing that they are a part of these journals.
Oh.
So if you cross check and cross verify in your own way those same things, you will find out that this is all incorrect and it is predatory. And the most important thing is they charge money for this.
Yes.
So, and that is negotiable. So, nowhere a good editorial and a quality journal would actually charge unnecessary money, processing charges, and it would, of course, not be negotiable. So, here money comes in the forefront because that is their main target. And the disadvantages, these journals are working today, right now, it is there, and just few years or few months down the line, it will not be there. So, then your research is all gone waste and you cannot track it, especially if it's for like your career purposes or promotional purposes, you will not be able to retrieve it anywhere. So it is very, very important to be aware of these phishing mails that we receive.
Thank you so much, Purvi, for telling us this. And I just brought up that because I have been receiving mails like this. So I thought I should put this forward to the audience also so that they beware of such phishing sites, which can really confound you, especially for residents, because they are supposed to present, they're supposed to publish also nowadays. So they can easily be led into this maze of false journals. So everyone should beware. And thank Purvi for giving us this information. Thank you, audience, for patiently listening to us. And I thank my co-instructors as well.